Part 1.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a travel agent and a customer who needs to book a hotel for a group visit. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, Elite Travel. This is Emily speaking. How may I assist you today?
Hi, I have a group visit to plan, and I wonder whether you could help me decide on which hotel to book. I've narrowed it down to either the Winchester, the Royal Hotel, or the Star Hotel. I'm wondering if you have a recommendation.
I would be happy to help. Those 3 are excellent choices. If everyone is booking hotel rooms independently, an easy way to do it is online booking. The Star Hotel offers online bookings at no additional charge.
It sounds fine.
Yeah, and you can even book the gorgeous sea view rooms if you act quickly.
I'll consider that. It would be great since we're mostly first-time visitors to the area to get a nice view of the water. Now, are there handicap-accessible rooms?
Yes, all 3 options have access for the physically disabled.
Great. I should also mention that we'll be on a tight schedule, so we won't have much time to go out for meals. Which of these hotels serve food?
There is a limited continental breakfast menu at the Star and at the Winchester. For a full restaurant and room service, the Royal Hotel is your best bet.
Oh, wonderful. Could you tell me more about the restaurant?
Absolutely. In the morning, there is a gourmet buffet or a la carte item, and after 11 a.m., lunch is served in the dining room. Dinners are in a nice, low-key but high-quality setting in the hotel's private dining room, and Fridays feature the house jazz band.
How lovely. Is there a group discount?
No, sorry, not at the Royal Hotel. Let me check on the others, though. Could I place you on hold for just a second?
Sure, thanks.
It looks like there is one at the Winchester. 15% off when you book 8 or more rooms.
Really? Sold. We'll book at the Winchester. Wait, is it suitable for children, though? We'll have a few little ones in our group, and it would be great to have a way to keep them occupied.
Yes, in fact it has a play place that kids just love, with slides and swings and everything. Definitely a good hotel to bring the kids.
Okay, great.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
So now I know where we'll be staying. What next? Should I go ahead and book transportation and assign rooms and everything?
Well, for now there are only a few things for you to take care of. We will hold a block of rooms for you as soon as you send a deposit. I recommend booking as soon as possible, so you probably want to send the invitations as soon as you know how many rooms to hold.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll send the invitations and put down the deposit. Is there anything else I should take care of?
Great. And don't worry about this now, but sometime before you arrive, do let us know if you'll be requiring our transport service to and from the airport.
I'll make sure to let you know. Does that incur a service charge, or perhaps a tip? or some presents to show our gratitude for the personal car service.
Oh, don't worry about it. It is a free service, so if you would like to tip, you are welcome to do so. But hotel drivers do not accept gifts.
Thanks for your help.
My pleasure. Enjoy your stay at the Winchester.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Part 2.
You'll hear part of a free class about safety around campus. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good evening. I'm Geoffrey Miller from the University of Nottingham Student Union, and in this week's free class, Carlos Garcia is going to tell us about safety around campus. Over to you, Carlos.
Thank you, Geoffrey, and thank you all for your attendance today. Also, I'd like to thank the Student Union here at the university for organising this lecture. Well, I've been serving and protecting the city of Nottingham for over 20 years now as a member of the police department. Does anyone know what type of crime is the most prevalent on campus? I heard someone say drugs and alcohol. That actually isn't too much of an issue. Violence? Nope. Actually, the biggest thing we worry about here is theft. The nature of crime on Nottingham's campus is quite different from that of the surrounding areas. Crime rates across the East Midlands are very difficult to control. We'd like to see the rate stay the same for this calendar year, but it has been increasing steadily over the past 3 years. On campus, however, I'm happy to say that the overall crime rate has fallen this year. You wouldn't think so if you've seen the extremely exaggerated stories in the media. The media has done nothing but cause more concern about crime in our area. Even the crime shows you see today are a little bit far-fetched, but at least viewers know they're not real events. We'd really like to see more factual news articles out there so the public can have a rational sense of the safety level of our society.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Okay, let's move on to what to do when you see a crime. Do not get involved if at all possible, and do not draw too much attention to yourself by running away in a conspicuous manner. Though most likely, and hopefully, you will not have to experience this situation, if you are being mugged, please do not try to resist. Instead, be compliant and seek help after the incident. Like I said, though, it is highly unlikely that you will find yourself amidst a crime, but it is important to be prepared should it ever happen. We find that educating students and staff on the correct precautions to take is the best way to increase your safety. Just remember to be smart when you're out late at night and avoid any area or person that looks suspicious. I know it sounds obvious, but I cannot stress this enough. It's also not a bad idea to have your mobile phone with you at all times, but be careful. If you're chatting on your smartphone on your way home, you're a prime target for thieves. I'd like to see a show of hands. How many people have left work or the library after 10 p.m. to go home before? A lot of you, right? If you do have to go home late at night, please don't walk home alone. More often than not, there's someone there that will be walking the same direction as you at some point. Walk home with a friend or co-worker. Even if you must use your phone to call someone that's nearby to walk with you, it's always safer to walk home with someone. So when you're walking home, you may feel more comfortable with some sort of self-defense, such as pepper spray. Now, it's your call whether you want to carry something like this or not. However, I absolutely advise against carrying a knife or any other offensive weapon. All too often, they can be used against you if you're disarmed, putting yourself in more danger. For all those interested, the Recreation Centre offers a free self-defense class to all students every Thursday evening. While obviously an introductory self-defense class may not equip you to fight off villains like a regular superhero, it does come in handy sometimes. After taking a self-defense class, you'll surely be more aware of possible dangers and how to deal with them. So hopefully now you have a more complete understanding of the nature of crimes committed on your campus and how to avoid being a victim. I know most students at the University of Nottingham are not the criminal types, but remember that there is no barrier like a wall or something keeping non-students out. There's no army force securing the borders, and I doubt anyone wants it that way. The campus is generally a safe place, but it's not immune to small crimes once in a while. All right, that's all I have to say for today. Stay safe.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
You will hear two students called Jane and Mark talking to their tutor about the project assignments for their senior thesis. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23.
So, you were both given your project assignments for your senior thesis today, right?
Yes, and we already have to submit our topics next week.
But how could they give us a grade this soon?
No, next week's due date will not be counted towards your final grade. The teachers are just going to read your topic and give you feedback.
Oh, I see. So first we should come up with our topics, and then what?
Well, once you know what you want to study, you need to think about how you'll study it. You need to decide on your research methods. The methods will be the main part of your paper.
What about the results section?
Well, I can give you feedback on that, but you will be the one carrying out an experiment, and thus will have to produce the results on your own. What I would like to do today is practice writing research papers before you even begin your report. I'll give you samples of old data from past experience, and you can practice writing results and drawing conclusions.
I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of extra work, but I'm sure it would make our actual project easier.
You're exactly right. So let's get started. First, let's try this simple experiment on fruit flies. read the information, and then take 25 minutes to summarize a results and conclusion section. That's really important. Pay attention to the time limit.
OK, does it still have to be 6,000 words?
No, don't worry about that.
What if we get off topic?
I wouldn't worry too much. You'll have so much information to write about that it should be easy to stay on topic.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 24 to 30.
But what about other sources?
Well, for this assignment, you can use the one from your textbook. In your actual paper, you should find old experiments that support your topic.
So do we need to find different types of sources? For instance, should I be conducting lots of interviews to use in my paper?
No, there's no need to conduct lots of interviews or anything like that.
OK, I'm ready to get started. I'm still a little confused, though, on how we should format our paper.
Don't worry about it for now, but on your final paper, make sure to pay attention to the format. It should follow the guidelines exactly.
Oh man, I'm starting to understand why they give us all semester to do this. Are there any other small details like that we should know about?
Not a whole lot. Make sure you provide 2 copies. One for your teacher, of course, but one for yourself as well. And of course, you know the due date, right?
It's April the 11th, right?
What? No, it's May 11th, right?
Yes. The due date is May 11. Write it down.
Oh, wow, yeah, I need to note it. Also, I'm having trouble finding information on my topic. What if I can't find enough good sources?
It's all right to change your topic. Just make sure to do it before the beginning of April.
Oh, really? Wow, I'm definitely going to change it then.
Just make sure to write a note to your teacher, letting him or her know.
OK, so getting back to writing this sample paper, where do we start? Should I just explain the experiment and what happened?
Well, you need to start with your hypothesis. What you think will happen, and then describe your procedure. Then you can write up the results and your conclusions.
Oh boy, I don't know if I can handle any more instructions.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You will hear an introduction about an eco-friendly building called the Gherkin. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, I'd like to tell you about how UK architects are playing their part to address the issue of global warming. You have seen many of these iconic buildings while going about your everyday life. but you may not know how they are affecting your tomorrow. In 2003, construction was completed on the famous Swiss rebuilding, or more informally called the Gherkin, a true masterpiece commissioned by the law offices of Foster and Partners. This is not the first ambitious endeavour of the firm. They are renowned for their various philanthropic environmental efforts. The Gherkin, with its cut-and-edge green initiative and sharp design, is gaining recognition as an icon in modern architecture. You can pick it out of the London skyline by its unorthodox cigar shape. While its appearance is the obvious attribute at which to marvel, there is far more to this building than meets the eye. And let's face it, there's a lot about this building that meets the eye. The building helps reduce the city's carbon footprint in a number of ways. Just a quick note, in case you're not familiar with the term carbon footprint, get used to it. It's a buzzword you'll hear relentlessly to talk about reducing emissions. Think of it as the amount of harmful greenhouse gases that are given off into the environment by a single person, organization, or product. So going back to the Gherkin building, perhaps the most obvious as well as the most significant eco-friendly feature is the glass windows, which allow light to pass through the building, both reducing heating costs and brightening up the workspace. The ingenuity behind the various eco-friendly aspects of the Gherkin has seen its fair share of publicity both from serious and silly sources. In a recent April Fool's Day edition, One e-publication printed a story detailing plans to replace 50% of the current exterior with grass, which would not only make large steps in the name of sustainability, but also give the building the green hue that would truly earn it the nickname of the Gherkin. The only drawback is, as you may have guessed, that this story was an April Fool's Day joke and completely made up. In all seriousness though, the building is setting a new standard of design that other architects and city planners just cannot ignore. The building's bold and cost-efficient design has won a number of architecture awards, including the Sterling Prize, the London Region Award, and the Empress Skyscraper Award, among others. The design comfortably accommodates a large number of offices, while keeping maintenance and operation costs down, striking a superb balance between nature and the workplace. Nature is well and good, as long as the weather is nice outside. Given London's notoriously bad weather, the architects knew they must devise a quality temperature regulation system, and that they did. A special system designed to reduce the building's reliance on air conditioning was devised that cuts consumption in half compared to standard office buildings. There are atria that link each floor vertically to one another, forming spiraling spaces up the entire building. They serve not just as social common spaces, but also act as the building's lungs, distributing clean air from the opening panels in the facade through the entire building. The building isn't all business though. It has its fair share of fun as well. At the very top, a club room offers a picturesque entertainment spot for company functions, private parties, etc., with a breathtaking panoramic view of the city. The creation of such an innovative structure has many wondering what the future of urban planning and architecture may be. Well, if the other projects currently commissioned by Foster and Partners are any indication, the entire city constructed with similarly eco-friendly buildings is not far in the distance. The Masdar city development aims to create a desert city that produces zero waste and removes as much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as it puts in, a huge feat in protecting our Earth. The Gherkin is a truly impressive feat, yet it is not the only one worth noting. Now to move on to another green initiative, I'll tell you about the Eden Foundation building found in Cornwall.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3.